Hi everyone, my name is Mahmoud Sheikh and from past few videos I have been working on making a video tutorial series on C programming language. In my last video I completed the discussion on features of C programming language, and in this video I am going to discuss a very important topic, which is basic structure of C program. This complete video is going to be a very important video because in this video I am going to cover a lot of basic concepts of C programming language. I just recommend you guys to watch this complete video without skipping. Before starting this video, I just want to tell you guys that if you guys like this video, click on like button, share it with your friends, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and if you guys have any queries then let me know in the comment section. Now let us start our discussion on this very important topic of basic structure of C programming language. The structure of a C program describes how you need to write your C program. Okay, so the structure includes various sections and you need to write your C program by following these various sections. Okay, as you can see here I have listed down various sections which comes under the structure of C program. So now let us one by one read it out, each and every section. The first section is documentation section, second link section, then definition section, fourth one is global declaration section, and then fifth one is main function section, which further has two parts, that is first one is declaration part and then second one is executable part. And then we have the next section, which is subprogram section, which contains various functions. Okay, so now let us discuss the first section, which is documentation section. Okay, the documentation section consists of a set of comment lines giving the name of the program, the author, and other details which programmer would like to use later. Okay, so this documentation section always be present at the top of the program, and this is the very important section in the structure of C program. This documentation section provides some additional information regarding the program as well as the author. Okay, so in this section we used to describe following points, like we used to mention the name of the program, and then we also highlight the description. Okay, what is that program, what output we used to get with that program, that also we used to put in the documentation section, that is the description. And then we also describe the author details, like John Doe, okay, the person who has written the program, and then date and time, at what time that particular program has been written, and then logic of the program. Okay, so each and every program in C will be having its own logic, so it's better to describe the logic of the program in the documentation section, because whenever you will be sitting to write a program, you will have one logic in your mind, and after a few days you might forget that logic. It will be helpful for you as a programmer as well as to the readers just by looking at the logic in the documentation section to understand the program. So these are the following information we used to put under the documentation section. Now let us move ahead to discuss the second section, which is the link section. Link section provides instruction to the compiler to link functions from the system library. Okay, so what is this link section? So whenever we will be sitting to write a program, we may require the help of other libraries, we may require the help of other functions which others might had written already, and once we include those libraries, those additional features or functions in our program, the functionality of our program gets enhanced. Whenever there is a need that you want to link some additional libraries, some additional code with your program, and then you can link those additional libraries in the link section. As you can see, I have written down few examples of libraries which we guys used to include in our C program. So this, the name of these libraries are #include, stdio.h, and then math.h. so these libraries has their own purpose. Whenever we will be using some standard input and output functions in our program, then we must include this external library stdio.h. This stdio stands for standard input output. Okay, so whenever we will be writing down few programs, so in those programs we will be using some input and output functions. Okay, so as you can see, this printf is an output function. Along with this printf, we also use scanf, which is an input function which allows the user or the programmer to read the input from the keyboard. Okay, so when we use these input and output functions in our program, there has to be a need of including the header files at the top, and there is another library called as math.h. Whenever we will be dealing with some mathematical functions in our program, so at that time we must include this math.h library. Okay, so instead of you writing down the code for achieving the functionality for your purpose, so it's better to include the libraries which will help you to develop your features and functionalities with faster pace. Okay, so that is what the use of link section. Whenever you will be linking some external libraries with your program, then you must those libraries inside the link section. Now let us move ahead to the next section. Now the third section is definition section. The definition section defines all symbolic constants. Okay, so whenever you will be using some hash defined preprocessor, some constant values in your program, then those constant values you need to put under the definition section, and in this definition section you can also define the prototype function prototype as well. Okay, so now let me just show you here in the example. Okay, so as you can see here, I have written down an example program, and this program is to calculate the area of a circle. And as you can see here, hash define pi 3.142. okay, so this 3.142 is the value of pi. Okay, and this pi is a variable and it is a constant. Okay, and I have declared it as a preprocessor inside the definition section. So whenever I want to use the value of 3.142 in my program, I can just write down pi here. As you can see here, I'm referring the value of 3.142 with its name as pi in this calculation. Okay, so whenever there is a need that you want to set some values as fixed or constant, then you can define as a preprocessor under the definition section. Okay, now the next is the preprocessor directive must start with hash symbol. Okay, so this is the preprocessor directive, and how much your preprocessor directive you include in your definition section, each and every of those needs to start with the hash symbol. Okay, next is global declaration section. So there are some variables that are used in more than one function. Such variables are called as global variables and are declared in the global declaration section, that is outside of all the functions. So there are two ways by which you can declare your variables. Okay, first one is globally declared and then second one is locally declared. So whenever you declare certain variables under global area, then each and every of your functions in the program can access that global variable. So whenever there is a need that you want to access the value of that globally declared variable in each and every of your function, then the best way is to declare that variable as a global variable so that all the other functions can access that. Okay, so now let me just show you that. Okay, here as you can see here, so this is the global declaration section. Int r equals to 5. So r is a variable and I have assigned it a value as 5. Okay, so now this variable r is holding the value of 5. Since I am declaring this variable as a global variable, both main function as well as this calc area function, both of these functions now can access this globally declared variable r. If I would had declared this r variable inside this main function, then this calc area function would not had access to this variable r. Now whenever there is a need that you want to set few variables and you want to access those variables by each and every of your functions in the program, then the best way is to just declare those variables as the global variable. Okay, now let's move ahead with the next section, main function section. Every C program must have one main function section. This section contains two parts, declaration part and executable part. Okay, so as we guys have seen in our earlier slides, this is this slide. As you can see here, the main function is divided into two parts, declaration part and executable part. Declaration part consists of declaring variables or assigning values to those variables, and then second one is executable part. Executable part is where you write your executable instructions. Okay, so now let me just see here. Okay, so here you can see this is the main function, and this main function is having various statements. So this float area, this is called as declarative part. Okay, where we used to declare the variables, or declaration part. So area is a variable of type float. Okay, so this area variable can hold the value of decimal and non-decimal. Okay, so this variable I have declared inside the main function. So this area now becomes the declaration part, and then here you can see I have written few statements. Here I'm making a call to the calc area function. Okay, and then here I have written down the printf statement. Okay, and then get ch function. Okay, so all this comes under the executable part. So now our main function is divided into two parts, declaration part and then executable part. Okay, the declaration part declares all the variables used in the executable part. How much ever variables you will be using in your executable part, first you need to declare those variables under the declaration part. This is the local variable, okay, and this is the global variable. Next is, there is at least one statement in the executable part. Okay, so as you can see here, there are more than one statement under the executable part. There has to be at least one statement under the executable part. Next is, these two parts must be appear between the opening and closing braces. So as you can see here, so both of this declaration part as well as the executable part, both of these parts needs to be present under the opening curly braces and then closing curly braces. Next is, the program execution begins at the opening braces and ends at the closing braces. Okay, so whenever we execute this program, the control first comes to the main function, and from here only the each and every statement gets executed. So when the control comes here inside the main function, so the execution starts from the opening curly braces, and then the execution gets end at the closing curly braces. Okay, the closing brace of main function section is the logical end of the program. Yes, okay, so this closing curly braces is been considered as the logical end of the program, because after coming out from this curly brace, the execution gets stopped. Okay, next, all the statements in the declaration and executable parts must end with a semicolon. Okay, so each and every statement in a C program needs to be end with a semicolon, as you can see here, except this preprocessor directive statement, okay, and this header files. Okay, except these two, each and every statement in C programming must be end with the semicolon. So when we end each and every statement with the semicolon, then compiler will come to know that this is the end of the statement. Okay, otherwise compiler will not come to know that whether you have completed this statement or not, and as a result of that you will get the error. Yes, okay, so this is everything about the main function section. Now we will move on to the sixth section, which is subprogram section. The subprogram section contains all the user defined functions that are called in the main function. User defined functions are generally placed immediately after the main function, although they may appear in any order. Okay, so the subprogram sections are user defined functions, which means you as a user or as a programmer, you write those functions. Okay, you write the logic for those functions. That's why the subprogram sections are called as user defined functions. Okay, and these user defined functions may be present above the main function or below the main function. Okay, yes, that's what it's mentioned here. User defined functions are generally placed immediately after the main function, although they may appear in any order. Okay, so there is no such restrictions that user defined functions always needs to be placed above the main function or below the main function. Okay, it's up to the programmer then the programmer want to put that subprogram function above or below. It's up to the programmer. Okay, so now this function float calc area is the subprogram section. Okay, so now as you can see, I have kept this calc area function below the main function. If you write your function implementation below the main function, then you need to let the compiler know what is the name of the function and what is the return type of that function, and you need to mention those details above the main function. That's what I have done here. Okay, float calc area. Okay, so I have mentioned the name of this function above the main function. Why I have done this? Because whenever compiler start compiling the C program, it will start from the beginning, from the first line. Okay, and then it will keep on reading each and every instruction line by line. Okay, then the compiler will come here and it will read this statement where I have mentioned float calc area, the name of the function. So now it will come to know that there is a function with the name calc area whose return type is float, and I may find this function, the implementation of this function, somewhere in this file. Okay, so it will come to know that there is a function with the name calc area in the file. So to let the compiler know everything about this function, what is the return type of that function, you need to first include the name of the function along with the return type as a prototype above the main function. Okay, so you need to do this only when you write the implementation of the function below the main function. In other case, so suppose you have decided to put this float calc area function above the main function, if you have planned to do this way. So in this case, there is no need to include this function prototype. Okay, so now it's up to the programmer whether the programmer wants to put the implementation of the function below or above the main function. Okay, now the last one is all sections except the main function can be absent when they are not required. Okay, so now it's not necessary or mandatory that you need to include each and every of these functions. If the program is very simple, then in that case you will not require to write each and every of these functions. Okay, but yes, there is a condition that each and every C program must have the main function. Even if you are writing a very simple program just to print a statement or a hello world, for that program also you need to include the main function section, and rest of the functions are not that much necessary. Okay, all these sections are only necessary when you are going to write a big or a large or a complex program. Okay, so now this is everything about explanation on the basic structure of C program. As you can see, I have taken the help of a simple program just to make you understand various sections of C program or a basic structure of C program. Okay, so now let us try to understand this complete C program, simple program. Okay, so although I have taken the references of this program when I was explaining you various sections of C program. Okay, so as you can see here, so this complete section comes under the documentation section, which includes the name of the program, author name, date and time, description. Okay, so it's better to include these much of statements in the documentation section. And now you can see there are two forward slashes prefixed with each and every statement. Okay, so now whenever you prefix these two forward slashes with any of the statement, then that means you are commenting. These statements are considered as comments. So what will happen when you write down the comments? Whenever you write down the comments, compiler will totally ignore those lines which you have marked with these two forward lines. Okay, so compiler will totally ignore these lines and it will just skip to the other statements which are not marked with two forward slashes. Okay, so this is everything about documentation section. Okay, and the next we have the link section. As I have told you, in the link section we always used to link the external files, external libraries, and then I have written a preprocessor directive under the definition section. And I have already told you that whenever you will be keeping some constant value in your program, then it's better to put those constant values as a preprocessor directive under the definition section. And then I have a global declaration section, which is this int r equals to 5. And then next I have the main function section, and this is the mandatory function. Okay, and in the main function, as I have told that I have two parts, declaration part and then executable part, and then subroutine part or user defined function. Okay, so now I have written a very simple program to calculate the area of a circle. So with the help of this program, I have tried my level best to make you understand various sections of C programming language or the basic structure of C program. So a basic structure is all about the way, okay, so basic structure of a C program just tell you how you need to write your C program, okay, by following each and every of these functions. Okay, so I hope you guys have understood each and every sections which I have discussed in this video, and that's all for this video, guys. I will see you guys in my next video where I will be coming up with some other topic. Okay, so if you guys like this video, click on like button, share it with your friends, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and if you guys have any queries, then let me know in the comment section. I will see you guys in my next video, and thanks for watching.